Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
If you work in university maintenance, Granger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Granger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more, and all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRANGER, visit Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
He's an old head.
Youngins are really starting to get on my damn nerves.
He's a purveyor of nonsense. He's a Georgia high school coaching job influencer. His favorite Bible verse is, Jesus wept. He's the man of constant sorrow, Chris Lamb.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, and today we are branching out into the Palmetto State, the great state of South Carolina. He's our first coach we're having on from there, the head coach at Barnwell, South Carolina, Coach Brian Smith. Thanks for being on with us.
Thanks, Coach. I sure appreciate it. Love what you do.
Thank you, Coach. Coach has actually coached in Georgia. He's been a college coach, and he's a high school coach, and he's going to start off telling us about where he grew up and go from there.
Man, I grew up just across the river from you in the small town of Bath, South Carolina, which really is just a sign nowadays, I guess. We were a mill family, and I was fortunate enough to play for a legendary high school coach in our Coaches Hall of Fame, guy named Reed Sharpie at Midland Valley. He really did a lot for me. I had still got a great mom and dad. They're still alive, and Coach Sharpie really meant a lot to me. I remember he came in from Newberry College, and when he first got there, he came from Newberry College to Midland Valley. I'm in middle school, and I'm gonna try out for the middle school team. And my dad, we lived about three quarters to a mile from high school. So he said, "Let's go watch practice." So we got in the car and drove up there and watched practice. And Coach Sharpie came over and started talking to me that day. And he's always meant a ton to me since that day, just because I recognized he didn't have to come talk to me because he had something going on. But I played there for him. Loved the man. It was great. Loved watching it. Loved everything we did. He's still coaching in his 80s. His son Rusty's the head coach at Brooklyn Casey. So when I graduated, I went to Clemson. Decided I was gonna not be an accountant. I thought I was going to Wall Street, and I was going to do everything there. And decided I wanted to kind of make a difference in some lives there. So I really made a choice to become a teacher, and back then, your only way to do that was to get a degree in education. You couldn't go through any kind of alternative certification. And these cats got it easy now. They can get a degree in something. If they don't like teaching, they can go back. I had to make a choice to stick with it.
Yeah.
And, I'm not saying that. I tell you all the time, I had a lot of people tell me, "You're crazy. You shouldn't go into that. You're smarter than that." This will be year 34. It's been amazing. There's been a lot of great things, amazing things, and there's been some bad ones too. But, man, it's been a great career. So I would say anybody who thought maybe you shouldn't have done it now has seen how much, not even talking about success, just how much fun we've had. It's been amazing there. So at Clemson, I practiced a lot at Clemson. And that's how I like to say it. I showered with great athletes, practiced a ton, played a little. But I had a chance to get a job. I could have stayed and been a scout team player, and I got a chance. I got a call from a guy at Greer High School, and my first job, 1991, he said, "Coach, I need to talk to you." He said, "Coach," he said, "Brian, I need to talk to you." He said, "We need an OL coach. Are you interested?" And I was trying to figure out if I should go back to school and get a master's, but who wants to go back to school at that point? Because I'm 21, I know everything in the world, so I'm going to coach. So we go interview at a McDonald's, and we start talking, and he's like, "Coach Vanderhayden, Coach Ford, Coach Hatfield already said you're the guy to hire. So if you want this job, it's your job. Here's how we block it. Let's go." And they were cut 2 years removed from winning a state championship. So I got a varsity, people nowadays don't understand this. I got a varsity OL job in 1991 at 21.
Mm.
And didn't have to coach JV at the time. That was unheard of. And I got very fortunate because of my connections through Clemson to get that job. Worked for a great man. You and I will probably talk about this. I always tell coaches, when you're chasing things, I've heard you guys on your podcast talk about you chase administrators and all that, but boy, you better make sure that first job at head coach better be solid. And I'm not talking about winning ball games. I'm just talking he better know what he's doing because he's going to impact your career. If you come in my office in Barnwell, I still have on my board the letters WWSD. What would Stewart do? Now it's kind of for me. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. Okay, so I'm an FCA guy. I told you earlier when we were talking off the air that we go to FCA coaches camp as a family. But Stuart Holcomb never made a decision that was not the best decision that day for Greer High football, because that was his job as a head coach. And I always leave that to remind me I've got to make the best decision for Barnwell High football. Even if it hurt his kids, his wife, whatever it was, he had to make the best decision. He didn't really care about the booster club guy, the booster club's kid.
Right.
He made the best decision every day, what was right. And we forget that sometimes. So I keep that on my board as a reminder. But I worked 2 years for him.
Well, you said he was old school when you told me. How old school was it? You told me he was old school. How old school was he, Coach?
Man, he called water breaks an old boy because that's what Chow Port called it, the Citadel for baseball. He'd worked with Chow Port. He's an old Citadel guy. I mean, we diesel fields. You can't do that stuff anymore. And but man, that was great.
Could y'all wear sunglasses?
First thing I did as a coach was diesel a field. We had diesel fuel in a container, and my job was to carry. My job, again, I'm 21, is to carry that container while somebody else sprayed diesel on the lines. And I had to carry the container up and down the field.
Yes, sir. I remember them.
And days. I didn't bat an eye. I mean, I coached that summer without getting paid, and didn't know didn't know there was anything other than this. I stayed with a guy who was older than me, who I knew from the Valley area where I grew up. He was living in Greenville. I just stayed on his couch for June and July, and wasn't worried about getting paid. I was coaching ball. It didn't matter. And so
could y'all wear footy socks?
We couldn't wear footy socks. He hated that. Now, those were called. He hated golf at the time. He plays golf now, but because he and I played some rounds of golf, but he hated footy socks because that was golf socks. We had the high socks. You could even pull them down a little bit, trying to get them off your leg a little bit. You had to be strategic. You couldn't wear. I was telling my coaches, I let our guys. You could choose if you wear pants on the sideline or shorts, but I'm gonna be in pants because that's all I can coach you in.
Mm-hmm.
Because he'd probably come find me if I wore shorts.
Agreed.
So I coach in pants every week, and it was I was in the weight room one day when I had gotten there and I had on a Clemson shirt because, again, I'm like, I got $500 to my name, maybe. And I got a truck pay. I had a little S10 truck when I got out of school, and so I'm making that pay. By now, I got me an apartment in Greenville. Man, it was great. I paid $315 a month and had a washer and dryer. It was great. That probably, I'd love to go back to that payment. But I didn't care. I mean, I was coaching and doing all that stuff. But he walked in the weight room after about the first week. He said, I had on a Clemson shirt one day because my laundry was dirty. Okay. He'd give me some T-shirts. And he walked up to me. He said, listen, I'm going to help you with something. You don't work for Clemson. You work for Greer High. So make sure you got a Greer shirt on tomorrow. And I said, yes, sir. And I never, like our kids know, I have never worn a shirt that wasn't a school shirt or just a plain colored shirt. I've never worn a Clemson. My son's at Middle Tennessee and a student assistant. I've got plenty of Middle Tennessee shirts. I don't wear those to our school to practice. I'm always in our gear. And that's what he taught me. But he was hardcore. I mean, he was the guy that, if you were injured, if you were the starting quarterback, number one prospect in the country, and you got hurt, you couldn't ride the bus because it might be contagious. You had to ride in a van. You had to ride in a van behind the bus to get to the ball game. That's what he did.
That's awesome.
We have, I mean, I'm serious thinking about it. We lost the game, and I coached 2 years as the OL coach. He walked in one day and said, "You're now the coordinator. I'm going to teach you how to be a coordinator. You'll go in the box, get on the headset with me, and I'll teach you everything you need to know." That was the conversation. Okay. That was it. And so, my first year as a coordinator, we were pretty good, but we lost the game. We were up 21-0 against the school, T.L. Hanna. Jason Tone from Georgia. I don't know if you know Coach Tone, great guy. He's there now. But Radio, everybody knows Radio. They score right before it's home game. They score right before the half to go up, make it 21-7. Man, we take that ball, we go right down the field, 2 minutes, and score to go in 28-7. And we are pumped. And we come back and lose 42-35 or 35-28. I don't remember. So our stadium was about, half mile from the high school. So we rode that bus back over to the school, and nobody's talking. And, I'm standing there because I don't have a seat on the bus. And it's I'm the coordinator. We didn't score enough points second half. And the defensive guy, he's in trouble because, they gave up too many points second half. We get back. He looks at me and says, "Cut the lights on the practice field." And I walk over, I knew what he told me to do. I went and cut the lights on. And we did up downs. And I don't know what that helped us. It was just he wanted to remind everybody about that night. He didn't want you to forget that night. And, but he helped me in so many ways. I mean, I just can't, the things that we all take for granted. I mean, he was great at all that stuff. He really loved kids, but the kids knew he was old school as they came. I mean, and they called it tough man, Iron Man football is what they called it, because he didn't, there wasn't going to be a lot of water breaks. We were going to hit a sled. We were going to get in the chutes. We were going to be physical at practice. My fourth year there, we won a state championship, and I was the OC. We were 15-0. And I became the head coach after that season at Strom Thurmond High School, which is, still in the CSRA where we grew up. And after that season, my first year as a head coach, I called him and I said, "Coach, I want to apologize to you." And he said, "Brian, what are you talking about?" And I said, "Coach, I sucked as an assistant. And I realize that now." He's like, "No, I'll never forget what he told me." He said, "You just didn't know and you didn't understand." And I tell people all the time that, I know I got a great staff, man. These guys work hard. I know they do, but man, I wake up I lay in bed thinking about, we had to go to 7-on-7 at USC a couple weeks ago. I'm thinking about, hey, we could just add this little tag into 7-on-7 to get the back and out in the flat this way. And I can't sleep. It's a constant thing. And, but I told him, I said, I didn't know. I didn't know what I was not doing until I became the head coach. And he was phenomenal, man. It was just a great experience, changed my career. I owe him everything. Like, if there's somebody I owe something to, it's him, because he, I don't know if I can't imagine hiring me as a head coach at 25. And then, my first year as head coach, we played for a state championship, and we were again very fortunate. But I had a 5-year run where we played 72. I coached 72 football games, which is phenomenal. That's 8 seasons some places. But it was a great run. And then I didn't make it back to Thanksgiving until 2019. So it taught me a lot about appreciating what you got when you got.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Players, appreciating the teams you're with, the staff you're with. And, but man, he was just so good to me. I owe him a ton, and I know that.
So your first head coaching job after that was at Strom Thurmond.
Strom Thurmond. Senator Thurmond used to call me every Thanksgiving and every Christmas. When I first got there, he called me and said, he called me and said he was proud of me to be the head coach at his school. And then they told me, they said, look, you need to be home every Thanksgiving night and Christmas night. I said, what y'all talking about? He said, Senator Thurman will call you every year. And so I just trusted him that first Thanksgiving. And sure enough, every year he called me.
That's
He called
cool.
me. He called and just talked to me, you know. And it was amazing. I was a young guy. Here's how you get we won a state championship. So we were 15-0 and we'd scored like a zillion points. I mean, our state championship team in '94 at Greer, we trailed at halftime of the opening game against Burns, I think 10-7. We took the opening kickoff second half and scored, and we never trailed again until the third round of the playoffs. So we were never behind. So an offensive coordinator's dream. We'd score points and we wouldn't give up anything. I mean, we had like 9 shutouts in 15 games. So, and we were scoring 40 points most nights. Okay, so we were loaded. I mean, we should have won the state championship, but it was fun. And so I get the job at Strom Thurmond. I really wasn't looking for a job because I knew we had a bunch coming back. But Strom Thurmond was close to my parents, close to my wife's parents. And the superintendent, I played Little League Baseball with his son. You and I talked about trees and help and how do you match things up. Well, he knew me. He knew my wife. He knew my parents. He knew my brother, my sister. He knew my grandparents. He knew my whole family. And so I think that made it a little easier for him to help me get the job. Okay. Because, it really, coming off of a state championship as a coordinator helps a ton. But having him, like he even told me, he said, you were the second to the last interview. And I said, okay. He goes, you don't know what that means, do you? I said, no. He said, you only had to beat the best candidate before you. And I knew you were going to beat the last guy because he wasn't getting the job. You only had to beat one person. He said, the way I do it is, guy's name was Clarence Dickert. Loved him, man. He's passed away, man. He was wonderful to me. But he said, I take the first 2 interviews, I pick a winner. And that winner goes up against the third interview, and that winner goes up against the fourth. He said, so I set it up so that you were going up against who the winner was still standing. If you came out and won that, I knew you'd won because the last guy was kind of a courtesy interview, and he wasn't getting a job. I said, so since then, that's always been my strategy to take the last interview, just because that's the way he did it. But he took a shot on me. I did dumb things. I mean, I did some stupid things, but I can't imagine. But it was a fun time, in Georgia. Ron, I talked to Ron Duncan before. Ron was with us on staff, and it was a great time. And then to be honest with you, a great thing happened. I turned 30. And my wife gives me a 30th birthday party, and we got a daughter, and we got another daughter on the way at the time. And then I get fired in February 9th, 2000. I know it because one of my good friend's birthday. And February's a little late to fire a coach, especially one that's played for a state championship, been to the semifinals, and won playoff games every year. But I made the wrong school board member mad about a golf tournament, and they traded some votes. And that's what happened.
It happens.
The principal and superintendent and the school district attorney, So, but it was a great thing because it taught me something real early at 30. I had my dream job and I lost it, and I figured out that my family's okay, and football didn't seem as important as maybe it should have been. Maybe I thought it was. So I learned a great lesson early on. And at that point, I went to Riverside in Greenville, where I currently live. I looked at watch film. I went and actually watched film on a job before I took it. I'd never done that. Obviously, I'm 30, so I had a lot of jobs offered to me. But they had Division I quarterback, kid that went to Vanderbilt, played quarterback behind Jay Cutler, named Stephen Bright. And I kind of knew he was Riverside's a country club kind of school, those kind of sports, ball and glove school, good golf. The Haas kids went there, the golfers. I mean, we've had pro baseball, all but players, tennis, soccer, girls in Olympic trials a couple weeks ago, still those kind of sports. And we were fortunate to win some football games. And circle back to Coach Holcomb. Coach Holcomb was offered the head coaching job at North Greenville College. But he asked me, he called our principal, wanted me to go as his OC and stay as the AD and just give up football. And I was going to do that because there's no money at that level, Division II. And he ended up not taking the job because it didn't really work out financially for him, and he was too close to retirement in the state of South Carolina. And he needed to keep his years in. So he told him, if you hire Brian, I'll work for him. So they called me and hired me that day. And I took a college job that had lost 21 straight games. And we had 19.1 scholarships. And, it was a tough thing to figure out, but it was a great experience. Went to North Greenville and we won, went 4-6 my first year, went 6-4 the second year. First win against the 1AA program in Charleston Southern. It's kind of cool when you come home from a day game and you're sitting there and your score is scrolling across your Division II score is scrolling across ESPN, and you just waxed a 1AA team. And we were very fortunate. They had some great kids. A lot of those kids became coaches, but I couldn't make any money. I was making less than I made in high school. I didn't have to move, so I took the job because of what it was. And then I took a chance and went to Seneca High School, called me and said, hey, basically, we can give you some money. We can pay you. I knew all the assistant principals. They were all former coaches. And the principal's a guy named Randy Counts. He was from Aiken. So I went over there, worked with those guys at Seneca, played Stevens County. Travis Nolan was at Stevens back then. And he had some running back that ran all over us one night. The kid went to Tennessee. I'll think of his name in a minute. But we were beating him about 5 minutes to go. And he ran toss sweep on 3rd and 8 and tossed the ball backwards behind the back. And I'm like, here we go. And I saw him pick that ball up and go just reverse field, and it was over. We couldn't touch him. Ball game. He's the best athlete on the field. But, it was a great time in Seneca. Excuse me. After that, I ended up going to Georgia for 4 years. The one thing I'll say, and this is for all the young coaches out there, and I always said, it's easy to say we're not in this for money. And, most of us tell you we didn't get into this thinking we're going to make money. But I got a huge raise to go to Hebron Christian in their second year of varsity football. I mean, huge raise. And that's the only time I ever took a job basically strictly for money. And it was a great experience, but it was me trying to make something happen that the Lord really didn't map out for our family. I took a job for money and went and did it. We had a good time. Hebron at that time was a non-region program. We went 7-3 and 9-1. And the year went 9-1. We beat Prince, and Prince made the playoffs. We were we beat Athens Christian. I'm trying to think who else we would have beat. We could play with a lot of people. And, but that was 2010, I guess, somewhere in there. And that's when the recession kind of hit. Hebron is a middle class at the time. I can't really speak to what it is now. And I don't mean disrespect for this, but it's an upper middle class private school. It's not an elite financial private school. It's not a high, it's the plumbers and the builders and the contractors, and they're all amazing people. And I loved working with all of them. But, they were having money troubles. Everybody was. The housing market in Gwinnett was awful at the time. And so we got a letter telling us that everybody was going to take a pay cut. Well, but we couldn't tell you if we had a pay cut or not. We couldn't tell you how much it was going to be. And we couldn't tell you if you had a job. Everybody got a letter, same letter. Right at Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. Got that one. And, I'm probably at that point, we didn't have a principal. I'm probably the second highest paid employee, okay, as a football coach. Me and the headmaster. And so I go and meet with him. And when I walk back in my office, I don't know if you know a guy named Ken Aldridge. Ken was my DC.
Yep.
And Ken is a phenomenal man. I love him. We still talk now. But he called me and he said, look, East Jackson needs a coach. Are you interested? And I said, man, I just got a letter saying I don't even know. This might be May or June until I find out if I got a job next year. You know, and I had 3 kids at that point. So I'm like, my wife wasn't working. You know, we had 3 homes. You know, I mean, so I'm like trying to figure out how we're going to do this. We're making less money than we started with. We got 3 mortgages, trying to figure out all this stuff, you know, and yeah, I'll go talk to him. And then, so Ken was good friends with Richard Crumley, who was the AD there. And Frank Caputo, old Richmond Academy guy,
Mm-hmm.
Frank had just left, and I got a call and went over, interviewed over there. And, you know, had a couple other people reach out to me for head coaching jobs because they'd seen what we'd done at Hebron. You know, we were able to go 9-1 and really change the attitude there. And with a bunch of great kids, but I'm not going to say a bunch of phenomenal athletes. They were just a bunch of great kids who, if there's ever a group that 100% bought in, it was those kids. And so I took the East Jackson job. Probably some of it was because, you know, I needed to secure where my family was going to be. And I wanted to be I love being a head coach. You know, when I was growing up, I wanted to be Coach Sharpie. I wanted to be Barry Bryant, Pat Dye, Danny Ford. You know, I wasn't a big Georgia fan, so I didn't really want to be Vince Dooley too much, but I admired what Vince Dooley did. Okay. But he always hurt us with those Kevin Butler field goals when I'm a Clemson guy, so it always hurt us. So, you know, I just wanted to be, I always loved coaching. I love being around. That's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be a head coach. So I took the job at East Jackson. I learned real quick that what a sub-region means and the difference in a county school and a city school. If you know where East Jackson sits, it's a county school along with Jackson County. It's right between the 2 city schools of Commerce and Jefferson. And, man, it was tough. It was a tough gig. But, again, you know, it's part of your journey. It's, you know, I told this story my second year at East Jackson. We went 0-10. We knew going into the season we had 2 chances to win. Week 1 against Banks County and week 9 against Franklin County. And I told this story to Chuck Holland at Franklin County a couple of weeks ago at FCA camp. I said, you know, we knew that, you know, we're in the wrong. We're in a sub-region with Elbert, Hart, Steve, Oconee, North Oconee, and here we were. We had to play Commerce. We had to play Jefferson.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
You know, we were getting beat up every week, but we lost. Week 1, we lost to Banks in the 4th. Coach Jones did a great job. I've known him a while. He got that W, and then week 9 we lost to Franklin in the 4th. But the amazing part was, I'm not going to say me on this, Ken Aldridge, Artie Ulmer, Jerry Parker, old school, guy we called the Godfather, who was the head coach at Jefferson for a while and coached for Coach Flo at Parkview at OL Crew forever, through all those championships. They all helped me hold it all together, so we had a chance in week 9. And you know, everybody, I know we're all judged by the scoreboard and by our records, and I understand that. I get it. But people don't understand how hard that is, because those kids deserve to be coached just like the Parkview kids when they were on their run. You know, it's easy to coach that Parkview bunch. It's easy to coach. There's issues, but it's easy to coach some of those guys. But we held that crew together. We ended up losing a coach, had a coach pass away during the season, had to bury him, and just all kind of stuff happened to us. But it was a fun year. That was a tough year. I ended up then coming back to, I'd never sold my house I'm sitting in right now in Greenville. So I came back. I said, I'm going to take the first contract I get. I told people this. When I went to interview, I would tell them, I had friends say, look, man, we'd love to hire. I got you a job. You're my OC. And one of the schools won a state championship. And I turned him down. I said, when you get me a contract? He said, Coach, we can't get you a contract for another month or two. I said, well, and I got to get back to my house to make for financially for us. So I took a job as an OC, and I was an OC for 6 years. Excuse me. And just really, kind of fell back in love with just calling plays and doing all that.
And where was that?
I was at Landrum for 2, which is in just below Polk County on the state line, the North Carolina state line. And then I came back to Greenville to Southside, where we had I tell you all, when you've been in a school where a gun goes off, it changes your attitude on some things a lot. But Southside was great, man. We were poor as you can be in downtown Greenville, inner city. I knew all the truth behind the shootings and everything the TV wouldn't tell you. And we had like 26 players, and we were ranked 7th in 3A because we had a bunch of kids that played hard. And we had a kid just got drafted and signed by the Lions. Jalen Calhoun played at Duke. He played for us, and just a really good bunch. And I came over here to East Side. The district, I actually got moved by the district because I didn't want to get moved. They had a guy who caused a little trouble over here at East Side, and they said, hey, we want y'all to switch jobs. I said, so y'all are switching coordinators? Yep. And I had a buddy at district office who said, look, Brian, you've been in this long enough. You understand how the system works, so you're going to go. So we just swapped jobs. And I came over to East Side, had 2 good years. One of my daughters graduated Riverside. My middle one graduated from East Side. And my son started high school as a freshman my last year at East Side. And his first ball game, head coach came to me and said, look, we're dressing out, week 0 game, no JV game that week. Do you want Brett to dress? We're playing Riverside, which he'd had to, because of Granville County rules, there's no middle school football. You play for your high school team, okay? And a middle school team level plays under the high school. So we live in the Riverside zone, so he had to play there. No one was going to East Side. And the next year, we're playing Riverside in the opener. First play of the season, my son is standing beside me, or standing there, and our corners cleats, Nike cleats, brand new, just right out, blowout. So I looked down, and my son is on the sideline with no shoes on. He knew he wasn't going to play. He picked his shoe up, threw it to the kid. The kid finished that drive in it. And then when it came off, he gave his other shoe. And then when we got in the locker room, we got some more cleats out. But he stood a whole first half with no cleats on. So we called him Shoeless Brett Smith for a while. But again, being in Greenville with the Shoeless Joe Jackson stuff, we called him Shoeless Brett for a while. But great experience. I really wasn't excited about changing because I love my job. We had a good experience. But Brett wants to coach. He wants to be a coach. He's kind of like me in a lot of ways. And I wanted to be his head coach. And I had really not looked at things because I was trying to stay here near the house. Been in Greenville since 2000. In this house since 2003. Other than I worked because 2 of the years I was in Georgia, I just commuted back and forth. Okay. So I started looking for jobs and ended up taking the job at a little 1A school in Aiken County, Ridge Spring, Minetta. Just because, I thought, I can take. We talked about it as a family, all of us, my daughters, my wife, Brett. We all went down there and looked at it, and it's kind of like, hey, look, this is a head coaching job for Dad. Brett can have success here and get an education and play sports and do what he loves. I can be his head coach, but we're not going to move. Okay, my grandson goes to school in downtown Greenville with my wife, so she really didn't want to leave her job. And my parents are still down there in Bath, so we're like, hey, I talked to them, hey, you got a place for us? And man, that was I was there 4 years. I tell people, it was great. We played for, again, I told you, I had a long gap. Played for state championship in '95, won it in '94, played for it in '95. Lost in the semis in '96, which in South Carolina is Thanksgiving weekend, which is the greatest practice ever. When you're in the Final Four and you're practicing on Thanksgiving, it's amazing. And I thought, I was 26. I thought, man, I'm going to do this for, 30 more years, and I'll do this so many more times. and I never got back until 2019. And at Ridge Spring, we went and we played our rival, Wagner Sally, in the semifinals. They had beaten us 40-0 in the regular season. We were hurt, but they were loaded. I mean, they were way better than us, and their coach would tell you. I mean, he knows that they were better, but just it was that one night the ball bounced our way. We had a kid who hadn't caught a pass all year, catch like a 50-yard touchdown pass, ran by everybody. We picked up a fumble, ran it back 85 yards for a touchdown, and we beat them 26-22 to go to the state championship. And I told my wife, we were riding back on the bus. I told her, I said, we got to be parents this week and not just coaches, because he's got to remember this, but it's been a long time for me before I got this. And we got beat the next week's state championship game, and that team was better than us. Brett was a sophomore. You know, he always looks back and told me one day, he said, it's amazing that my number one biggest play of my high school career was a long snap, because we had fourth and about 5 or 6. It was more than 5. It was about 6 or 7, I guess. And they didn't jump on about the 45 with 50 seconds to go. And they were a single wing team. And I knew we had to punt. And they called their time. I called my timeout, run the clock out, and send the punt team back out on the field. And when I did, I'm like, hey, we get a good snap, good kick, good, go cover this thing. Let's win this thing. And I'm standing, I look out and I go, oh my gosh, Brett is about to snap this. Because I realized at that point, I went from coach to dad in the moment during the game, where I realized my son's about to snap this thing to get us to the state championship. And it was perfect. The kid punted it, and we downed it down there and won the ball game. And it was just unbelievable. Rich Spring has never won a state championship in any sport. They've only been to the state championship twice in football and maybe once or twice in basketball. And but it was a great experience to do it with my son. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm thankful that the Lord it meant a lot more to me and to our family, because my daughters were there. My son was playing. My grandson rode the bus to the state championship game with me. My oldest grandson, he rode the bus with us and sat right there in the front seat with me. And, they all got to buy in and be a part of that, where if we'd have won a bunch of them, I thought I was pretty smart when Ron and I were together. We both tell you this. We thought we were pretty smart because we were winning football games. And now we're both saying we had really good football players. We kind of knew what to do. We probably messed them up a little more than we should have, but it takes players, and it takes a lot of luck. And so as I get older, I figured some of that out along with all the rest of them. So I think so a year ago, I was trying to come back to Greenville because, again, Ridge Spring is about an hour 45 from Greenville, and a job came open at Barnwell. And I tell this all the time, the Barnwell AD, who was the AD and coached quarterbacks and is now our principal in the last month, he's a good friend of mine, a guy named Derek Youngblood. And Derek, he and I talk on Friday nights when I was driving back to Greenville. We talk about our games, the Barnwell game and the Ridge Spring game, what happened, and catching up. You talk to coaches when you got to travel some, so you talk to people on the road about what's going on with their teams just to kill some time. And so the Barnwell job came open, and I called him the next morning, and he said, "Are you going to apply?" And I just basically said, "Look, man, I'd love to apply. I'd love to have the job, but I don't want to go. I don't want to go through I don't want to be your token sitting head coach on the panel." He said, "Look, we'll get this thing done fast, and we're going to go interview a couple people." So I don't know how many they interviewed. It was less than 5, and because administratively they all got it, and so I interviewed pretty quick, and I've never told him this. I interviewed on Monday. Mondays I leave. I leave because I was driving to Ridge Spring, so I'm leaving at 5:30 in the morning back then or whatever. So I usually went to bed early on Monday nights because I was tired. So I'm laying there in bed. I keep hearing ding, ding, ding on my phone, and I thought I had a good interview. I look over, there's the schedule, coach's phone numbers. I'm like, I called my wife April. I said, I think I might have got this job, but he ain't told me that yet. And so the next morning they called and offered me the job. Of course, I took it. And she was hoping I'd come back to Greenville, but she told me, she said, when she knew I got involved, she goes, "If you get offered this, you're taking it, aren't you?" And I said, yes. And I think the best way to put it, Barnwell's a South Georgia job in South Carolina.
Yeah, I was gonna ask like what classification are they now, but
We're
Barnwell's
2A. We're 2A.
yeah, but Barnwell. I'm trying to for the Georgia listeners. Barnwell is kind of like Fitzgerald.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
they're a tough double A, hit you in the mouth tradition. You know, they're that kind of place.
There's a lot of truth in that, and it's the hadn't been a lot of coaches here through the years. I mean, Coach Weir, who the stadium's named after, his grandson plays for us, and he was there probably 30 years. Dwayne Garrett was there twice and did a great job. And so it's us and Silver Bluff are the two rivals. We're right there by the bomb plant, and we have to get by the bomb plant to get to Silver Bluff, and the bomb plant connects to both school zones, and so we're just kind of, that's who we are. We're about for people, we're probably 50 minutes from Augusta. We're probably 45 minutes from Scriven. But it's a hard nosed play. Our kids, when I walked in, I was amazed because even our JV kids knew how to work, and I had nothing to do with that. That was ingrained way before I got there. Our JV kids work. You and I talked off the air a little while ago that we've been practicing 8 to 10, and I mean our kids came in today. We kind of had some things go on. I had a coach had to take his wife to the doctor, and I had a coach who had a babysitter bail. We had some issues coaching wise today, and so we just did a little full body workout with some plates in the stadium, running and walking with them, and they were dripping sweat. I mean, like unbelievably. It was amazing to watch our kids work out. They don't understand how not to go hard. Like I have to get onto them all the time. Like, guys, right now we're 11 on 11, and we can't have pads and stuff.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
South Carolina in the summer at all, and we're doing things, and we're at a point right now. Our twos know what to do offensively and defensively. Okay, I mean we're that deep right now, and our kids have worked hard. But sometimes you guys say, hey, look, man, you can't hit him like that without pads on right now. We don't want to hit him like that. He's our teammate.
Well, them Barnwell kids, they're country kids. They don't know no better.
They are. I was talking to one of the ladies in our school, and I didn't know where. She taught me. She told her Sycamore, South Carolina, was I didn't know existed, but her family's watermelon farmers. I got a player on my team. His dad, he sells watermelon at the farmers market every week, and he's getting after it as a farmer. I mean, our kids know what. I mean, I got some kids who go to the river and fish, and they bring back. They're telling me, Coach, we're selling these to adults in the community. I mean, as I told some, you and I talked about Jeff Cannon. Jeff and I have known each other through FCA camp, and we were talking about it. We have dirt roads. We also have a Walmart. And Walmart's big because if the Walmart's in your town, you got enough people around the we do have a couple of dirt roads. We got a Walmart. We got every place to eat. We've got a Ford dealership. We've got all the Mexican place. So we've got the things that. Whereas at Ridge Spring,
small single A school.
Single A school, no red lights in the entire school zone.
No, not one.
Not a single one. I mean, you couldn't, when I went to Ridge Spring, you couldn't buy a biscuit in the morning.
No, got to go to a gas station.
Right.
If you can find one.
And you got to warm it up there too.
Correct.
It's not a Parker's. It's not a Spinks or a QT. I mean, it's a
Bubba's Zippy Mart.
Yeah. And it's great. Hey, I loved it. I mean, I was happy there. I mean,
Yeah, you got to drive 45 minutes to get to a Walmart.
I knew it was different. I mean, we've got our kids in football class. We don't have to practice on Thursday after school because our kids can practice inside the class. It's so at 3 when the yellow limousines take off at 3:00 on Thursday, our kids are all going to the house and we're going to some JV games.
The Barnwell War Horses, right? Y'all are the War Horses.
There's 3 War Horses. We pray at the end of every practice. I got a kid to pray at the end of every practice, and one of them started praying, "God bless the War Horses," and we say it all the time because there's only 3 War Horses in the country that we know of. There's Owen High School in North Carolina. There's a school in Texas that starts with a D, I believe, and that's it. But we're the War Horses. This tells you your town now. Our middle school's the War Ponies. Our primary school's the Colts, and our elementary school's the Mustangs.
That's awesome.
So they're all bought in. We all got one logo. I mean, we just switched. We just did a deal with BSN, and so which is the Nike. If you go get Nike in South Carolina, you got to get it with BSN. They made us a great deal, and it's like Christmas here because all the Nike stuff got delivered out of our team store yesterday. And I saw a girl at volleyball practice this morning who she played golf for me this past spring, and she said, "Look at my shirt, look at mine." I'm like, I love it. And guys in the community are sending me pictures of all the stuff they bought with Jordan on it and Nike the swoosh on it, and they got T-shirts. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you talk about a rabid fan base, that's us. And there's a lot of expectations for us this year because we got, it's a 2A school. We had a good year last year and should have beat the eventual. I think we should have beat. They were a better football team. I think we should have beat them in the third round, the eventual state championship team, Oceanside. It was a charter school in Charleston. And if you know anything about the charter situation and charter and private situation, they're kind of all moved up now because of the multiplier. And there's a lot of people, there's a lot of expectations in our ball club, but there's no more expectations than our kids and coaches can put on ourselves because of where we are. I mean, I had people ask me, say to you, are you worried about being down there? And I said, look, all I know is if we go out and bust 2-8 a couple of years, I won't be there long and they'll still love me, And so we're going, we won 8 last year. We're trying to get a little more than that this year. And we're just excited. It is Strom Thurm. I told you my story there, upset the wrong board member, actually I'll tell this story on myself. I prayed by name for 2 board members for like 2.5 years because I needed to get myself better. So I needed them to have good things happen to them because I was bitter, if that makes sense to you. And I've always looked since 2000 for a place like that, and this is the closest. It's surpassed that. And I love my Strom Thurmond days, and everybody who knows me knows that. But it is just a different place. I mean, I go in a store, and again, normally I'm wearing something with Barnwell, but if I don't have it on, somebody's going to talk to me. I mean, I can't go in a store and somebody not talk to me about it. And it's just they love their football, and they've been ingrained that that's the way it's been, and we're going. I'm not a wishbone guy. Okay, there've been some wishbone people before me, and I'm more of a spread guy. But we still want to run the football. We still going to run we're going to run the crap out of counter right now, and we still getting 2 H-backs to run ISO right at your linebacker, and you better be ready for it. So we're still trying to keep that part of it. That's one of the biggest things I keep saying is we cannot lose that toughness because once we lose it, it won't come back.
Well, you ain't gonna lose it at Barnwell.
No.
They had it when we were kids. They've had it since then, and they probably always gonna have it. They've always been notorious for knocking your face off.
They have, and they tell the stories, and even just seeing that we've had speakers each week, each day this summer, come different speakers. We had a police captain come in today and talk to us, and he was talking about his high school career and stuff like that. And I'm just bringing him in and talk to the kids about dealing with the police. Just trying to get a little leadership. But he's talking about, man, I wish I hadn't messed up back in the day. I wish I'd have done this right because I could have been, but that's what they believe, and they know that. I mean, again, our kids, when we put those helmets on, they got the double horseshoe logo on the side. I mean, they think we're going to win. They don't. I'm telling you, we could go play
Greer
or Dutch Fork or whatever, and they probably be better than us. But our kids are going to fight, and they're going to play, and they're going to work all year to do it. We've had to tell a couple of them. I had a kid who messed his bicep up, and I said, "Man, you're working out too much," because he was doing our stuff in class. He was doing stuff on his own. I said, "Man, you're trying. You got to relax a little bit. You got to give your body a chance to heal a little bit, And he's trying to do what's right, and he is. He's worked his tail off, and I've got a 6'5", 305 left tackle who was kind of a chubby kid last year at about 320, and now he looks like he can kick his foot up he can raise his hand up above his head, kick it, and touch it with his foot. That's how flexible he is. And I mean, he's got gifts that he don't even know about. He's only played football for 3 years, and he just didn't play. His big kid didn't play. And then somebody before I got there saying, "Why don't you play football?" And well, it's working out for him. But he's going to be a phenomenal player. He's a senior, but I mean, these kids just don't mind working. Our coaches don't mind it. And like I said, they would have been able to handle those days of, when we talk about Coach Holcomb, the days of, hey guys, we're practicing from 8 to 10, 2 hours. Let's come back at 5 o'clock. We're practicing 5 to 7. Nobody's going to miss. Our kids know. I mean, you were going to do those 2 days for 3 weeks, or you were going to go to camp, whatever you did. These kids could have handled that. They're way tougher than I am. I mean, our air went out the other day. My mom was telling me how she went the first 24 years of her life without air conditioning. And I told her she was made different than me.
Yeah.
I said, I guess I'm a wimp because we went to a hotel. And but I mean, these kids work. I mean, it's amazing. They text me, Coach, I missed my ride this morning. I'm coming. The kid came in late. And I didn't have my phone because my grandson had it. He was playing some game or something on it. And I was in the meeting and the team meeting. And I told the kid later on at practice, I said, "Hey, I'm sorry." I said, "I didn't see your text." He goes, "Coach, I got a ride. His ride wasn't a player ride. It was a family ride. And they bailed on him. So he had to find another way." He got his way up there. He found somebody to bring him. He was late. But that's how they think. Like, I mean, and it's refreshing and it's fun. And it's like I tell our kids right now, there's a lot of eyes on us. But, we can lose in the first round because the ball don't always bounce your way. The wrong kid gets hurt. You have a bad night. Somebody comes along and they've lost a couple and they just beat you. But in the end, they're still a fun group to be around every day. And that to me is what makes it. This is year 34 for me, and I don't know if I've ever been excited for a season as I am this one. And, I want to keep doing it. I tell them my oldest grandson's 7, and I got a 7-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 7-month-old, I guess. And so I guess I got, if they all play football, I guess I got to do this about another 18 years. So that put me at 72. I don't know if I can hang on to then, but, we're going to keep trying and keep doing what we can do because I love what I do every day.
That's awesome. I mean, as long as you still like doing it and you're healthy.
That's what I tell them. I try to lift. We have our JV has first block football and our varsity has fourth. And so with our JV kids, I go in there and it might be how it is those juniors sometimes. They get a class that's a senior maybe has a class that's they have a class that's sitting there and they can't take it because it's a singleton, so they have to get in the JV class. But I try to go in there and do I told them I ain't putting a bar on my back, but I'll do goblet squats with you. I'll do push-ups with you. I'll do all these things with you. Just trying to stay, because I don't want to be the old man that gets mad about the music's too loud. And I may not like the music, but I'm more sure, I'm gonna understand learn some of the words so I can sing along with it too. I don't want you to get off my grass, guy, and can't play with your grandkids. I want to be the guy that knows what's going on. And, that's what excites me about all of it, is just get up, going to work and doing it every day.
Well, that's awesome. Coach, I sure do appreciate you being on with us as our inaugural South Carolinian. And I know it's been fantastic listening to all the places you've been. I know the guys are going to enjoy it. I'm going to have to get you to hook me up with some other guys in the state, try to reach out and expand into that area. I know it's a different universe, but it's still football and they're still kids.
It is, man. It's great. I feel like I know some of the guys that you talk to and on your podcast, and I've followed on Twitter some with some of your more outspoken ones, and it's just great to connect with people, because I think football coaches are probably the one last group, maybe in our country, that kind of get each other.
I agree.
We all kind of get each other, whether we're offensive guys or defensive guys or good school, bad school, whatever, winning school, tradition, losing, whatever. We get each other. And to me, that's why it's easy to start up a conversation, become friends, and do those kind of things.
Coach, I sure do appreciate it. Appreciate your friendship and everything that you've done, reaching out to our little mission here, and always reaching out for, when you looking for coaches and stuff like that. Anything I can ever do to help you in those regards, just let me know. And I appreciate you being on with us.
All I want to know one day is the Evans Effingham story. Whenever you get time for it, that's all I want to hear. So.
I was in middle school when that happened.
I got you.
But I do know the story.
All right.
And I'll be glad to tell you. But thanks for being on with us, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.